Hello YouTube, my name is Swalesy, and in this video I wanted to take a look at weapon fire rates. Now for those who haven't watched my ludicrously long video testing damage and DPS, I did come across a few inconsistencies between some weapons fire rates and their in-game RPM stat. Most noticeably was Truth and Whisper of the Worm. So for anyone that might be interested, I thought I'd make a video and accurately test the precise fire rate for a number of popular weapons used for PvE and PvP, as well as the odd random, so I can see how that particular archetype compares, such as 110 hand cannons. Now you'll be glad to know I won't be cluttering the screen with oversized tables in this video, so you can enjoy my attempt to solo the final boss in the Pit of Heresy, Zulmark, which I'll be showing until the deed is done, even after I've finished talking. So the weapons tested, starting with 150 RPM hand cannons. Spare Rations, Luna's Howl and Thorn for 140 RPM hand cannons, Ace of Spades and Ostringer. For 110 hand cannons, Warden's Law and Crimel's Dagger. I also tested Crimson, which is a 415 3-burst hand cannon, and Eriana's Vow. Pulse rifles, so Blast Furnace, Claws of the Wolf and Redrick's Broadsword. Sidearms, I chose Rat King and the Rattler, so two different fire rates there. For auto rifles, obviously it had to be Hardlight and Sorrow's Regime. Snipers were Beloved, Darcy and Whisper the Worm. Scout rifles were Mida Multi-Tool, Randy's Throwing Knife and Jade Rabbit. And finally for grenade launchers I picked Interference 6, Swarm of the Raven and the Prospector. All testing was done using Adobe Premiere Pro and counting frames, followed by some maths, but I'm not showing that in the video. Unless anyone wants to see it, just let me know. So what did I find? Not a great deal, to be honest. I was expecting quite a few anomalies, but most weapons were correct. But I'll start with the ones that were right. So all 150 hand cannons fired at exactly that, 150 RPM. Crimson and Eriana's Vow were also bang on the money. Blast Furnace and Claws of the Wolf were exactly what they should be, as were both sidearms, Rat King and the Rattler. Both auto rifles were correct, with Hardlight at 600 RPM and Sorrow's Regime starting at 600 RPM, then ramping up to 900 RPM for the final half of the magazine. Beloved also fires at the correct rate, as does Mida Multi-Tool and Jade Rabbit. And finally, Interference 6 and Swarm of the Raven were both what they should be. So what wasn't quite right? Well, both 140 RPM hand cannons fired slightly slower than what they should be, at around 138 rounded down, while both 110 hand cannons fired slightly faster than quoted, so 113 RPM rounded up. Bear in mind all maths was done to 2 decimal places. Redrick's Broadsword come in a little slower than 340 RPM at 338, but because of this and it being relatively close, I didn't test it with the Desperado perk prop, as that's near as damn it what it should be. 2 less rounds a minute for a pulse rifle when it already fires at over 300 isn't a particularly big difference in Destiny. Darcy, which is a 140 RPM sniper, came in at the same fire rate as the 140 RPM hand cannons, so 138 rounded down. Now, I know some of you might be thinking there's something wrong with me maths and how I've calculated the fire rate of 140s, but other than multi-round burst weapons, the testing method and calculations were exactly the same for everything. Whisper the Worm, for those who again haven't seen my DPS testing video, fires faster than the 72 quoted in game. I've actually found it to be around 76 previously, but after testing it accurately, it's more like 76.6, which again is more like 77 RPM when rounded up. Randy's Throwing Knife came out a little slower than quoted at 257 RPM, rounded down, and the Prospector, a 165 RPM grenade launcher, came in a little slower as well at around 164 RPM, which was rounded up, but that's totally negligible. So, to sum up, there's nothing too significant, other than arguably Whisper the Worm firing near as damn it 5 shots more a minute than its in-game stat value of 72, getting close to 77 RPM, as well as Whisper, but not included in this test specifically, there's obviously Truth, which has an in-game stat of 15 RPM, but it's actually around 46. There obviously could be more anomalies out there, but there also could be none. And these findings aren't pushing or encouraging me to do any more testing or analysis of fire rates. So unless any of you want to see any more or have any specific weapons you want me to check out, I don't plan on doing this again, not for a while at least. So basically, on that note, I'm done already. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Any feedback, please comment and let me know. If you're interested in future videos, maybe even consider subscribing. Any and all support or feedback is appreciated. Links to Twitter and Twitch in the description down below. And now, solo Zulmak footage that I'm leaving on screen, as it would be wrong to finish the video before I finish him. No, the video isn't going past 10 minutes because of this. I hope to see you next time.